It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 24 of the Duenkel Productions podcast. And tonight we are joined by a very special guest, Packer fan, pretty much an all Wisconsin sports fan, a writer and the site president, I believe, for Wisconsin Sports Heroics. He does all that good stuff over there. Also writes for Border Fuel Sports. And he's currently working security. So shout out to the man, Robin Adams. I'm gonna link his Twitter down below. Make sure you guys go follow him, check him out. Writes a lot of great articles, a lot of great content. I've read a lot of his stuff. Unbelievable. But Robin, how are you today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Looking forward to this opportunity. We've been trying to get this in the works for a long time, and I'm working 16, 18 hours a day, so it is hard. And I was finally like, well, I work third shift in an office that no one is around, and so why not kill two birds with one stone?
That's awesome, man. It is currently right now, as we're recording this, it is currently 11:15 p.m.
It is, and I have like 7 hours left to go. So
hey, so I'm gonna kill like 30 to 45 minutes for you.
There you go.
I feel happy about that. But Robin, I want to start with this, man. We obviously talked before we went live about the bad Packers game on Sunday. I would love to get your thoughts on the game and what you saw.
Well, I'm not going to offer any new perspectives that hasn't been purported in the media or anything like that. I thought that the offense, for the most part, was pretty good, except for the fourth quarter when they could not seem to move the ball after those two picks by Tom Brady, who is off to yet another Super Bowl. The guy is like incredible. I'm just like, you can say he was carried. You can say, he's always got great defenses. But the fact of the matter is that you don't get to play in 10 Super Bowls by just plain luck. I mean, his former team is sitting at home, didn't even make the playoffs, and here he is there. So, props to the Bucs, props to Tom Brady. And I got to tell you, it hurts my soul to say that. But I want to highlight a few bright spots for the Packers offense, despite those stalled drives. One, the MVP of the National Football League, Aaron Rodgers. I think he really silenced some critics. Some of them, aren't going to be silent. Shout out to that guy who sits across from Shannon Sharp on Undisputed or whatever.
Skip Bayless.
Yeah, no, we don't say that's a Voldemort name in this guy's world. Okay, no, he who shall not be named. But the whole narrative going into the NFC Championship was that Aaron Rodgers cannot show up to play in NFC Championship games. And the guy goes out, he throws for 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick that only happened because of a non-pass interference call. So shout out to the MVP. Just a fantastic performance. But Aaron Rodgers, he gets all the accolades. We need to shout out to some Packers player who throughout the season has been the bane of Packers existence. Not mine, I love this guy, but MVS, holy crap, 4 catches, 115 yards, no drops. That guy, he's young. Yeah, he had drop problems, but who else had drop problems early in their career, Dunk? Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams.
Huh.
2 of the most beloved Packer wide receivers in recent history. And I'm going to call it right now, MVS is next on that list.
That's a very bold statement.
It is a bold statement, but I believe in my guy, MVS. On the defensive side, Mike Pettin's not coming back. Enough said on that. You know, I will say that up until the NFC Championship game, I was one of the biggest Pettin defenders on the Twitter sphere. And the numbers backed that up. They had not allowed over 20 points, I think, since December 13th. So, like, almost a month and a half of just great defensive football. They held the Tennessee Titans, then the highest scoring offense in the NFL, to just 14 points in a snow-filled game in Lambeau. They held the Rams to 18 points in the first round of the playoffs. And they were playing so well. But throughout the course of the season, there were very questionable play calls that at times Matt LaFleur brought up to the media before even being asked about them. And to me, that was a very telling statement that Pettin's job was on the line. And it depended on the Packers advancing to or winning the Super Bowl in order for him to stay. Now, what's interesting about the Pettin situation is that he reportedly turned down or did not seek an extension after last year, which is weird for NFL coordinators and assistant coaches. They're usually on 2-year deals, and usually after that first year is done, they're trying to get another year added on. But I don't know if Pettin didn't ask for one or if it was not even offered to him. But for me, that was a very telling sign that the Pettin days in Green Bay depended on whether the defense would stand up in the playoffs. And when you look at the game, the NFC Championship game, there's blame to be had all around. Everyone, has come out and said, everyone on the team has come out and said what they could have done differently. Coach LaFleur has come out and said what he could have done differently. But you didn't hear that from Mike Pettin. And for me, that speaks volumes. Accountability is a very big thing. And when the head coach has to go there and defend the defensive play call, he chose not to defend it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you a lot of your points, but I said one thing on episode 22 that is currently on YouTube. Make sure you guys go check that out. Me and Jake Miller sat down, talked about that game, talked about some other fun stuff. Make sure you guys go check that out. But what we kind of talked about is that the offense blew opportunities to win that football game. You talk about that defense that struggled mightily in that first half. They came out in the second half and played well, in my opinion. Getting the 3 turnovers against Tom, big deal. Tom doesn't throw turnovers. Huge plays by
13.
Well,
he had 13 in the regular season.
Right, but I'm saying, like, in the postseason, you don't see Tom turn the ball over that much, in his career. So for us to get 3 interceptions, for us to win the time of possession, for us to win the total yards and still lose the game, it's a bad sign. And really what it points to is the offense not capitalizing off turnovers. And honestly, it's unacceptable.
I was very surprised that they didn't let AJ Dillon work on some of those picks. You had 2 straight 3-and-outs on 6 straight passing attempts. So run the ball. I know Aaron Jones was out with that chest injury, whatever he had. But AJ Dillon, I think, had over 5 yards per carry. In that game, it was 5 rushing attempts for 27 yards, over 5 yards per carry. Give the man the ball.
Well, and here's the thing. When you have a Coach of the Year candidate in Matt LaFleur, when you have an MVP in Aaron Rodgers, when you have the best wide receiver in the NFL, that's right, I said it, Devonta Adams. When you have a guy like Robert Tonyan, who's had a great season, when you have a guy like MVS, who's been balling throughout the whole game, how do you not put the ball in the end zone on those 2 possessions? it's gonna live with all of us Packer fans to think what if on those two.
At least till next year when we're back and we
Yeah.
win it.
Well,
It's
here's the
happening.
thing: is that there's a lot of blame to go around, like you said. Um, you know, I wrote this in the recap for Wisconsin Sports Heroics. And I said there's blame to go around for everybody. There's blame on the offense, blame on the defense, blame on the coaches. There's blame to be thrown around everywhere, and you know what? Just it sucks, and it's a heartbreaking loss. And here's the thing: is that the Packers, they have a really good team. A lot of their guys are going to be back. I'm not sure about Aaron Jones. We'll talk about that more in the off-season episodes when it comes time. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I think I'll tell you this. I don't see why the Packers aren't going to be back there next year. If they still have 12 and that supporting cast on offense, that cast on defense, and a new defensive coordinator, someone better, they're going to be right back there.
Yeah, and when you look at the prospective free agents that they are going to potentially let walk, or the guys that are going to end up being cap cuts, cap casualties because of the lower salary cap next year, thanks COVID. But when you look at the guys that are going to be let go, though there are, in my opinion, two big names that are going to be they're going to grab all the headlines. The first one you mentioned is Aaron Jones. Now, the interesting thing about Aaron Jones is that it was reported that the Packers offered him top 5 running back money, and he turned it down, presumably because he did not like the low guaranteed number in that contract offer. Now there are a couple ways you can take this. You can be upset at Aaron Jones, or you can be upset the Packers wouldn't up the guaranteed offer. But I'm an optimist when it comes to the Packers, not in MC championship games, but they know what they're doing. Like, all season long, like looking ahead, everyone's been like, what are they going to do with next year's salary cap? They are so far over budget. What are they going to do? And they extended Kenny Clark. They extended David Bakhtiari, making him the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. And they were still willing to give top 5 running back money to Aaron Jones. I don't know what they're doing, but they know what they're doing. They have a number in their head. They know they have a plan in place. We just don't know what it is. So let's all chill out about salary cap stuff, because in Russ Ball, I trust. That guy is a wizard when it comes to cap and making payroll and things like that, and he has not let us down yet. I don't think Aaron Jones is going to be back, though. I think that he's going to be looking for higher guaranteed money, and the Packers have already shown that they're not willing to go up that way, and I'm not really going to be too upset about it. I love Aaron Jones. I think he's a great running back, Pro Bowl running back, but let's get Quadzilla going, next man up. And I've always said, and you've seen this in the chats that we have on Twitter with the writers, and I say it every single time, never pay running backs. Case in point, Christian McCaffrey. Made him signed a huge contract and played 3 games this year. So, there's that. Now, the other name that I think is more important, and I will be more disappointed if he is not brought back, is Corey Linsley, all-pro center, just like the heart and soul of the offensive line. And, David Bakhtiari is the best left tackle in football, don't get me wrong. But the guy who's the captain of the offensive line is the center. Besides the quarterback, he's the guy communicating everything. And Corey Linsley is the best center in the National Football League. If the Packers are not able to reach an agreement with him and he goes, the center situation becomes a very interesting topic of conversation. Silent G Jenkins played very well there this year. I think he's a better guard than he is a center, but he is certainly an option, and I would be very interested in seeing what other options there are, whether in the draft or already on the roster. And another name I've heard thrown around that they already have is Lucas Patrick being the center. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, I mean, I think it'll be definitely interesting to see what happens. And like I've been saying, we're gonna obviously talk more in depth once the season's kind of over and we know what the cap's gonna look like for next year, because I think that's gonna play a big part in who they decide to bring back and who they
Yeah,
don't.
absolutely. I also want to make one more point that at least in my mind, I know for a certainty, and I know a lot of people know for a certainty, but it seems that some people still want to question, especially the aforementioned who shall not be named. Aaron Rodgers is a Green Bay Packer next year. Like, the comments that he made after the season is nothing different than he said after the draft for Jordan Love. Like, the future is not in his hands. If he had it his way, he'd be a Green Bay Packer his entire career. But the reality of the matter is that's not always the case. I grew up watching Brett Favre, and then I watched him play for the New York Jets and then the Minnesota Vikings. And, stuff like that happens. Peyton Manning went from the Colts to the Broncos for 2 years. We just got beat by a guy who played for the Patriots for 20 years and is now in the Buccaneers. Like, things like this happen. And as much as we want Aaron to be a Packer for life, and if I had it my way, he'd be a Packer for life, we just don't know if that's going to happen. But I can tell you in 2021, when training camp starts, number 12, Rodgers on the back of that jersey is going to be taking snaps for the Green Bay Packers.
Completely agree. And Robin, me and Jake, one of my good friends, we talked about this. He's a huge Tom Brady fan. I called him up to congratulate him on Sunday about the game, and we were talking. We both said we're like, everyone stirring up the speculation that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be back is just ridiculous. And Mike Florio, he's always looking to talk about Aaron Rodgers for I don't know what reason, but that's the guy he always wants to talk about, throw under the bus, spread rumors about all that stuff.
I saw something that when Aaron Rodgers retires, Mike Florio is going to be out of a job.
Well, yeah, that's one of the questions I even said. I'm like, what's Florio going to talk about when Rodgers retires?
Right,
what's he going to go to?
Yeah, exactly. And and Aaron Rodgers himself clarified this, like he really needs to clarify anything. I mean, it's his life.
Right.
Who are we to say what he should or should not do?
And Robin, here's the thing, man. You're coming off of a loss. 15 minutes. You're talking to the media 15 minutes after losing a game to go to the Super Bowl. That Aaron and the whole Packers team knew they could have won that game. How do you think Aaron's going to feel? He's not going to be himself.
No. If you want some good Aaron Rodgers content, you got to go watch the Pat McAfee show.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays, and I watched his interview with Pat McAfee Tuesday after the game, and it warmed my heart to hear him call, not by name, but the aforementioned reporters douchebags for speaking for him, and I really hope next year that Pat McAfee does Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays again, because just the insight you get into the game and into the mind of I always thought that Peyton Manning was the smartest quarterback ever to play football. But after this year and after watching Pat McAfee shows, I got to give it to 12, man. That guy just.
Well, and I think too, Pat, AJ, the boys, Aaron, all of them it's so much fun to watch. And, I don't see why Aaron wouldn't do it again next year. I'm sure Pat's going to ask him again. But hey, I'm just going to throw this out there to anyone who's watching this. There's plenty of good content without all the rumors and speculations and stuff that doesn't need to be talked about. My show, My show is one of them. We don't talk about rumors or bull crap. We bring up stuff, but we don't spend an hour and a half talking about something that's probably not going to happen. Cheesehead TV, read
Yep.
articles over at Wisconsin Heroics, Game on Wisconsin, Matt Ramage show. You have so much good Packer content, and I'm sure I'm forgetting ones, but you have so much good Packer content.
Yeah.
Underrated
Like if,
podcast as well. Joey and Big B do a great job over there.
yeah. My go-to's Pack a Day podcast. Andy Herman, to me, is the goat of Packer coverage. Is Andy Herman.
Ooh.
Like that guy is he is like the pinnacle. And shout out to him. Thanks Andy Herman, who will probably never see this, but he did a lot for Wisconsin Sports Heroics last year in an advisory role. Brought him in for a little while, and he really helped us get some ideas in on how to grow the site and things like that. And thanks to Andy, I bounce ideas off of him myself for messages, and the rare occasion he actually reads my stuff. That's a really good follow for anything and everything Packers. Andy Herman is the way to go.
Yeah, Andy Herman's awesome, and you know what? My favorite is Aaron Nagler over at Cheesehead
Yep.
TV. I love what he does. Packers Daily, watch it every day. And also, Robin, I will be sure when we do our Twitter clips for the shows that we make sure we tag Andy Herman, Aaron Nagler, and all those
Yeah,
boys.
you gotta.
Um,
Those guys are
because
great.
because here's the thing is that Nagler and Herman do the Let's Talk Football after every game, and
Hmm.
that is so insightful. I love what those guys do over there at
Yep.
Cheesehead TV. I love what we're doing over at Wisconsin Heroics. It's all a bunch of fun, man.
Yeah, Wisconsin Sports Heroics is a really great site, and I'm like completely biased, but from a completely unbiased standpoint, you can't get better Wisconsin, opinion, can't get better Wisconsin fans than the writers at Wisconsin Sports Heroics. And, that's not to say we agree on every, take or everything like that, but just like pure conversation. And so many of our articles come from the conversations that we have on Twitter and everything like that. And, we cover everything Wisconsin sports. We got Packers, we got Brewers, we got Bucks, Marquette, Wisconsin Badgers basketball and football. And we recently re-upped our outdoor sports department. So you can check out a weekly article on something that has to do with outdoor sports, hunting, fishing, whatever you like outdoors. Good stuff.
Hey, speaking from someone who writes for you guys, I enjoy it a lot. My articles, believe it or not, I don't know if you've looked at this, Robin, but my articles combined have over 10,000 views so far. And
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
I mean, dude, it's been
You
awesome
know,
to work with you guys. Talking to
yep.
you now on the podcast, having Jake's Sirianni or
No relation to the Eagles head coach.
I got you. Yeah, it took me like about the whole podcast to figure out how to say his last name.
Yeah.
So it was definitely not easy. But
Yeah.
Robin, let me ask you, what's it like being the site president for Wisconsin Heroics? Like, what kind of stuff do you do?
Yeah. So what I like about was being the president of Wisconsin Sports Heroic. Dunk, you're a Packers writer.
Yeah,
And we got different departments for all of our stuff. The great thing about being the president is I get to write about it all. And that's what I really love about it. When if you go onto the site and you look for anything written by Robin Adams, you're going to see Brewer stuff, you're going to see Packer stuff, Buck stuff, big three of Wisconsin professional sports. Not as much Badger stuff because I admittedly don't know as much about college sports as I do the professional sports, but there's a Marquette game preview in there somewhere and some Wisconsin stuff sprinkled around. There is no outdoor sport articles because I do not do outdoor sports. Nothing against them, just don't do them.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I
in
mean,
terms of like my other stuff with the site, I also edit articles by other writers, and that's a great privilege for me because I get to read them all before they get published, or at least the ones that I get to edit. We have a great team of writers, or a great team of editors as well, who have really picked up a lot of my slack. I mean, it got to the point where I was editing probably 60 articles a month, which is, that's a lot. But we have a great team of editors who have taken some of that slack off my back, and I really appreciate that. But editing is something I really enjoy doing because it gives me insight into what all the writers are thinking and their perspectives, and it's great stuff. Recruiting writers is something that I do as well. We just, we added some really great people about a few weeks ago, especially in our Brewers, Buck staffs, and Packers, well, across the board. And I got to say that all the new stuff that is coming out is like, whew, it's good stuff, man. Like, you guys, if you have not checked out WisconsinSportsHeroics.com, you got to. It is the place to go for Wisconsin sports coverage.
I will be sure to put the link down below to the site. I will be sure to link that down below for you guys to check them out. I will also leave the Twitter link to check him out. I'll also leave Robin's Twitter link. Check him out. All that good stuff. You guys already know what to do, though. Follow our IG and Twitter. We post all the time, all day, every day. We are going to be doing a lot of lives this weekend. Usually we do Sunday shows for NFL, but we're going to do them with some maybe some Q&As this weekend or whatever. But Robin, that is awesome, man. I think that Wisconsin Heroics is awesome. I love being a part of it. Like I was telling Jake when he came on my show, I appreciate it for giving me the opportunity to work with such a great group of people. Everyone's great over there. Whether it's you, whether it's Jake, whether it's Matt, whether it's and anybody, it's been awesome. I made a lot of good friendships as well. I became really good friends with Andrew and Oaks, but he's became a really good friend of mine. So, can't say enough good things about Wisconsin Sports Heroics. But Robin, you also write articles for Border Fuel Sports. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Border Fuel Sports is a little bit newer site. Where it is not it's not Wisconsin focused. It's not any particular team focused. I love that site because it is honest, opinionated journalism. And so, if you, you just mentioned a little bit ago about, Wisconsin sports heroics. We don't really dabble in any of the rumors or anything like that. Border Fuel Sports is all about stirring the pot. With things like that. And I like that because it allows me to branch out from just Wisconsin sports. I recently published my top 5 NBA MVP candidates for a quarter way through the season.
Who are those top 5 candidates?
Top 5 in order is Joel Embiid, Nikola, the Joker, Kawhi Leonard, your boy LeBron, and then my guy, the Greek Freak, and here's why LeBron is 4th, Dunk, because I know you're dying on the inside. LeBron is only 15th in the league in PER, 25.00 PER so far. He's having a great season. He's averaging 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. I think I wrote in there that if he continues that, it'll be the 6th straight year that he's gone at least 25, 6 and 6, which is amazing. But to me, and I explain this, and I'm going to be doing a weekly update, so there's still time for your guy to climb the Adams MVP board. But I take into account PER. I think is really important. I take into account standing and what and how much they carry the team. And for me, Joel Embiid is head and shoulders of the best player on the 76ers, who are the best team in the East this year, currently number one in the standings. You can say Ben Simmons is a great player, and I think he's overrated. But he's an all-star, triple-double threat anytime he takes the floor. You can't knock that. But Joel Embiid is a guy that makes me sad because we drafted Jabari Parker over him. But the things that he's doing this year is just astounding to me. He's second in the NBA in PER, 27 points, I think 11 rebounds a game. Just they're Giannis numbers. These are the numbers that Giannis was putting up over the last 2 years when he won MVP. And the Bucks had the best record in the East, and Giannis ends up winning MVP. And I made that note that if we follow the voting trends of the MVP voters, then that it's looking like it looks like it's Joel Embiid, because he's by far and away the best player on the number one team in the NBA. Jokic, man, that guy up until last week was averaging a triple-double, and no one talked about it. It just hurts my soul.
Joker's that dude.
Yeah, he is that guy. Number one in the NBA in PER, by the way. Not that far ahead of Embiid, but ahead. And that guy, I love that guy. Kawhi is Kawhi, number 3 in PER. And then you have LeBron. He's 15th in PER. But and I made the note in the article, you cannot have an MVP list without LeBron James. You just can't. Any MVP candidate list that does not include LeBron James is not a credible MVP list. And then Giannis, he's the 2-time defending MVP, 8th or 9th in the NBA in PER, struggling in the new offensive system that Coach Bud is implementing. And you know what struggling looks like for Giannis? 26 points a game and 11 rebounds per game. And if that's a struggle, man, once he figures out how to play his role perfectly in that offense, NBA better watch out.
I ain't worried. I got LeBron and AD. I'm chilling.
AD, who is right below Jan. AD actually has a higher PER than LeBron this year.
Yeah, AD's not having as good a year as he did last year, though.
Imagine averaging 20 and 10 and saying that's not a good year.
It's true, because a lot of people were predicting AD was going to average like 30 this year. Yeah, and it goes to bring it all back around to Wisconsin sports. It goes back to something that Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show. Down year for me is a career year for most quarterbacks, man, and that's true. And we are so spoiled as sports fans today to see the Giannis's and LeBrons and the ADs and the NBA. This is a down year for them, and any other scrub who's sitting on the bench, 15th man, would kill to be averaging 20 and 10 on any given night. And for AD, that's a bad year, man. Okay. So Robin, my MVP list would be, well, let's be honest. If you're watching this show, if you know who I am, if you follow me on Twitter, you know who's at number 1. It's LeBron. And it's because of a couple of reasons. One, he's such a great leader this year, taking over pretty much a half new roster. Coming back from the shortest offseason in NBA history. And he's going off. I think he's number 1, but I will say Joel Embiid, number 2, and he's really close to LeBron. Him and LeBron, I think it's almost like a 1A, 1B. Then I'm throwing Joker at number 3, Kevin Durant at number 4, and Giannis at number 5. That that'd be that'd be my top 5 or top 6, I guess you could say. But I think that like I don't know. Again, it's really early in the season to say who definitively is MVP, but I think I'd give the nod to LeBron right now because I think you know the Lakers are playing really good basketball. Off a short off season, LeBron's playing well. I think too, LeBron's had some signature games lately, which is why I have him up there because he's showing me that he's still got the 46 points in him.
Yeah, he is 36 years old and looks like he could play another 10 years,
Well,
like
and
just the way he's going.
the crazy thing for me, Robin, is that LeBron gets motivated by Cavs executive talking, clapping for a miss. That's what he gets motivated by.
Yeah, the greatest players in any sport are the ones that will use anything for motivation. They always say Aaron Rodgers plays with a chip on his shoulder, and he does.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, Dunk, whenever someone says anything negative about Aaron Rodgers in the media, I am so happy because I know that come the next game day, Aaron Rodgers is going to come out and he is going to try his darndest to prove them wrong. And he, usually it works out.
Facts. Mike Florio's like Aaron Rodgers is Mike Florio's biggest fan because he just keeps feeding him motivation.
Yeah, like okay, keep it coming. Just make the chip bigger. Do it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I like your list. I thought about putting Kevin Durant on my NBA MVP list, but the thing for me is like, he's got Harden and he's got Kyrie there. And like, even though I did say PER is a big factor for me, and he is number 4 in the NBA in PER. For me, Kevin Durant is probably one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, if not the greatest scorer, just pure talent scorer in NBA history. But for me, defense, in the MVP, they look at, is it an offensive award? Is it best all-around player award? And for me, Kevin Durant, I'm not saying he's a scrub defender by any means, but I would say of the 5 people that I put on my list, I would say each one of them is a better defender than Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, part of it too is I think MVPs too kind of follow a storyline as well, Robin. I know you obviously know this, covering the basketball world. But the MVP's got a storyline. Kevin Durant coming off injury, LeBron in his 18th season, Giannis winning 3 in a row, Joel Embiid bouncing back after a few tough seasons in Philly. You have a lot of storylines there. Obviously, Joker could be one of the few players to average a triple-double in NBA history. I mean, so you got a lot of good storylines, and it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I think the East is going to be fun to watch in the playoffs with the Sixers, the Bucks, the Nets. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the top 3 teams in the East,
Right
Bucks,
now,
Sixers, Nets are just
man,
stacked talent. Oh, those are going to be some good games. And I think it's going to be a shame that we're only going to be able to see
2 of those teams go
at it. Like, man. Yeah, but talking Bucks stuff, they're the Bucks fans were really spoiled over the last 2 years in the regular season. Domination, just sheer domination, and it didn't work in the playoffs. And a lot of people are calling for Coach Budenholzer to be fired, and I'm not one of them. And I'll tell you why. I think that Budenholzer's playing chess, not checkers, and the Bucks are going to make the playoffs. That's a given. If they're a 1 seed, if they're a 3 seed, if they're a 6 seed, they're in the playoffs. And all Budenholzer wants to do is have the best playoff roster available. And in order to have that happen, you got to get these guys used to playing this new brand of basketball. Over the last 2 years, everyone's saying that Coach Bud can't. He's not changing. He's not changing anything. And now here he is in the process of change, and people say, well, it's not happening fast enough. Like, these guys are human. These guys, you don't learn a new offensive system overnight. You had basically no preseason. Like you said, there's the shortest offseason in the history of the NBA. You got to give these guys time, 30, 40 games, over half of the season to really hit the stride in some cases. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the guys or some of the teams that we see right now in the playoff hunt are not in the playoff hunt come, game 50, game 60 in the NBA season, because the really good teams have caught that stride and figured it out. And I think the Bucks are going to be one of those teams that come playoff time, weather the early struggles. And by the way, early struggle being ranked 3 in the East. I'll take that. I remember 15 and 67 season, I'll take number 3 in the East. But, the Bucks, Milwaukee, Green Bay, Brewers, we want a championship so bad here in Wisconsin. And, we the NFC Championship game hurt because we really could have won that game. Bucks are probably they're the next best chance of getting that done. And you got Drew Holiday, you got Bobby Portis, in my opinion, the 6th man of the year in the NBA, who is just incredible. Shooters off the bench, just they got to figure it out, and they will. But it takes time. It's chess, not checkers. Once we get to the playoffs, this is going to be a very different Bucks team than what we're seeing right now.
It'll be interesting to see. I personally believe that the Packers are going to be the first Wisconsin sports team to break this trend. To be honest with you,
you could be right.
I could see the Bucks winning. I just don't think it'll be this year. I right now I would say the Lakers are going to repeat. Still got, in my estimation, still got the best player in the world, and LeBron. Got a top 5 player in AD, and I'll take my chances betting on those two.
Yeah, I can't defending champ. I can't argue with that. I think that the Bucks win one in the next 5 years.
I think so
Giannis
too.
signed the Supermax, 5-year deal. Well, 4 years player option for the 5th year. I think they win one in the next 5 years.
Hey, that was really good for Milwaukee to sign him.
It was incredible. And let me tell you something, Dunk. Wisconsin is becoming a place that people want to play.
Yeah.
In. I mean, and it all started, and we got to tip our hats to the possible retirement of Milwaukee Brewers former MVP Ryan Braun, who became the first MVP caliber player to sign what many call is the lifetime contract to play in Milwaukee back, 10, 12 years ago when he signed that deal. And that was a shock to a lot of people when it happened, because it's Milwaukee. Who wants to play in Milwaukee? Fast forward last year, a couple years ago, Christian Yelich signs the lifetime contract to stay in Milwaukee. MVP of the National League. Should have been 2-time MVP, but he fouled the ball off his kneecap, missed the last month of the season. Would have repeated as MVP if that had not.
You got to tip your hat to Belly that year, though. He had
a great season. Incredible season. Yeah. But Yelly missed a month of the season, and Belly barely beat him in homers and RBI. The rate that Yelly was hitting was incredible.
Yelly and Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger are very good friends.
They are California guys over there. And then, Giannis signing the Supermax, just amazing. And it really shows that Milwaukee is a great place to play. Green Bay, great place to play. Aaron Rodgers wants to finish his career here. Just fantastic. It's a great city, great state.
Yeah, I completely agree. Robin, I would like to thank you so much for coming on the show, taking time out of your busy schedule for coming on this podcast. It really means a lot. I think we did really well, had a really good show. Make sure you guys follow all the links below. I'll leave them all. I'll leave our IG, our Twitter. I'll leave Robin's Twitter. I'll leave Wisconsin Heroics Twitter. And I will also leave the website, Wisconsin Sports Heroics, because you guys will want to check them out. And plus, you can read all of my articles. I mean,
you got to, yeah. And by the way, latest one today, top 3 candidates for defensive coordinator to replace Mike Pettin. I put that up this morning.
Make sure you guys go check that out. This video will be up on, I want to say Sunday afternoon. This is scheduled to go up.
All right.
But Robin, hey, if you wouldn't mind, just a couple minutes after the show for us to talk. But thank you everyone for watching. Greatly appreciate it. Love y'all. Appreciate the support, and keep striving for greatness.